Wondering, like, man, how Coach Owens get with gym rats? Like, how did you cross paths with the organization?
Good question. So I got involved with my man Roy Harrison last year. Me and Roy used to work.
Roy, shout out to Roy, man.
Yeah, that's my dog. We got involved. We worked together with the Eric Gordon program back in the day.
Okay.
Roy was a 16U coach last year before last, 2 years ago. And he got me out of retirement. I had to take a year or two off because I had some young kids.
Okay.
And it was too much stress on my wife.
Right.
And it's still the same way. But all AAU coaches, there's a lot of inside jokes with that. We work all year trying to get out of jail.
Right, for
summer,
sure.
AAU season starts, we just get right back in jail.
Man.
So
that's
the phase I'm in right now, trying to get work myself to get out of jail.
There you go.
So Roy got me over as a 16U coach, assistant a couple years ago. I developed a great relationship with Jared Balf, Quarles, Burks, and obviously Todd Hensley. And then one thing led to another. I was assistant coach's passion with my man Delaney, Jason Delaney.
Man, shout out to Coach Delaney.
Shout out to Delaney. He's the real deal.
He's so smooth. I don't think a lot of people understand like how smooth he is and how he connects with his players on a whole nother level. Yeah.
Delaney's the real deal. You know what I learned about him just by preparation. So this year I'm the 17th head coach, and it's basically by default, just to be honest with you. So we have a player that plays at Cathedral that we're going to keep in the program. With that, Coach Delaney can't coach the team. Coach Delaney recommended me. He handled that situation with the utmost class. He said, it's not about me. I got to practice what I preach, and I have to sacrifice for my players like they do for me at times. So just a high character individual. Jason Delaney's the real deal. Him and Andre Wright, both of them, two good dudes. I learned a lot from them this past summer.
How important it is, like, for players to understand who you playing for and the values your coaches have to have so the player can give his 100%.
You know me, I'm a big people person. I'm a firm believer in you got to invest before you withdraw.
Okay.
So I can't just come out there and say, hey, get in a stance. With that, they don't know that I care for them.
Right.
So I try to invest as much on the court, as much off the court as I do on the court. Right now I'm trying to build relationships with our players already, their parents. Trying to set the expectations of what I believe in, what's your thought process, my thought process of being a good team, and the value of chemistry and being for one another. So we've already started practice in my head.
Right.
So that's on me.
Betts used to say, like, if the game was like this weekend, he said the game starts today, Jared.
Yeah.
He'll tell Jared Quarles that when I was playing in the early around 2010 with Deshaun Thomas and Marcus T.
Yeah.
And Betts will be like, the game starts now, man. 48 hours, 72 hours in advance. Like, the 5 Ps, proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Yeah.
And I think that goes over a lot of people's head, how you can never be too much prepared to go into a game or be ready for the season.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm thinking about you. I met you, and you won't remember this, but I met you at it was at the Junior All-Star game, I think.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I introduced myself to you, and you looked at me, and you was totally engaging. You said, "What's up?" He asked me how I was doing. And then after that, I was always your biggest fan. That's when I knew you was the real deal.
I appreciate that, because I just coming from my community in gear, we always have our guards up. Just when somebody random just approach you, you could feel that. I always believe that energy someone gives you, if they just approaching themselves, if it's genuine or if it's their intentions aren't pure. So I'm happy that you were able to remember that, because I will always.
Oh yeah. When I saw you this past summer, what I tell you, hey man, I want you to get to know me a little bit more. I want to get to know you. I want us to be partners.
Absolutely.
And I was sincere with that. I've always admired you from afar.
I
And what you're
appreciate it.
doing right now is, you know, you're coaching, you're hooping, you're doing your media stuff, man. You're a bad boy.
Hey, the organization, let's say like Gym Rats put us in, let's say if it wasn't for the summer, we may have not connect. Like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You saw me think cleaning the bleachers.
Yeah.
You like, man, you doing everything. And I'm like, man, it's a hustle, because I really believe that if one of my peers see me working, that's not the most, you know, cutest thing to do. They'd be like, man, if he could do it, why am I complaining?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I appreciate your energy, Coach Owens, like how you give to me and your players, because it's like they don't feel like it's a disconnect when they talk to you. Like you part of the culture.
Yeah.
And they be like, man, if Coach Owens can understand me, I don't have a problem playing for Indy Heat 17 EYBL, because I know he's going to take care of me on the road and he's going to have my best interest.
Yeah, no doubt.
Who are some of the players you've coached? Because I know you coached a ton of players.
You know what? Probably the most high-profile guy that people would recognize would be Jared Jackson.
Wow.
Jared, you know, the story about Jared, you know, and I'm gonna get to his mom, Miss Terry.
Okay.
She's the real deal. But Jared was 15 years old. He's, you know, Jared graduated when he was 17. Graduated high school when he was 17. Wow. A year later, he's the number 4 pick in the draft.
Right.
So he went to Park Tudor High School at the time. And so it was 15 years old. He had just moved here from the East Coast a year prior. So it was like, I tried my hard to get him on my AAU team. His mom and dad wasn't buzzed. You know, Big Jared, the true Big Jared.
Oh, gee, I saw him a couple weekends ago.
Yeah, played in the association. But Terry, you know, she's wired different. She's about her business. She don't let anybody and everybody around her son. So there was it was like an interview process with them. And fortunately, they let me into the inner circle. Got a chance to be a big part of Jaren's development. Me and Jaren's mom, Terry, we used to have meetings all the time. They were called Iron Sharpens Iron meetings. She would tell me about her problems, at work, her issues that she was going through. And at this point, when we first started, she wasn't with the WNBA, she was with the NCAA. And I was working with Adidas at the time. I was a company liaison between Adidas and NBA.
Okay.
So we just talk about our issues and our struggles. And Iron Sharpens Irons meeting. And she was big on the word stretch. And she was like, Ryan, if you're not stretching my son, we can't have you around. And she's the real deal. She's the real deal. And so he was one of those players that was fun to coach. Zach Irvin was probably one of my favorite players to coach, just because he plays so hard defensively. You know,
we played against them Hamilton Southeastern, like 2012. It was Gary Harris, Zach Irvin. They was loaded. They protected home court. They put up a good fight. Like we pressed. Like my high school was known to press all game, 2-2-1. And they was really talented. And Zach Irvin continues to play. And I already know it's probably fun coaching him and seeing how athletic he was.
Yeah, that team was loaded. That AAU team, me and Matt Green coached them for 3 years. And it was like Colin Hartman, Devin Davis, Basil Smotherman, big fella Darius Latham. When we needed a bucket, we throw the ball into Darius. Couldn't nobody check him. He gave Jaleel Okafor and those cats at Mike Urban the fire the business.
I wish I was there.
Yeah,
Coach Owens, and speaking of these talented athletes, obviously, you know, we're living in unprecedented times. What do you think about some of the guys that's reclassifying to 2020 to go to school early? Because 9 out of 10 times, like most colleges are bringing back their whole team for next year.
You know what? A lot of people's going to ask me that question as of late. And you got to do sometimes you got to be a little selfish for yourself. Okay. And I know these high school cats don't want to reclassify and leave their classmates. But, you know, what's going on with COVID right now, everything is up in the air. You know, we're not sure that we're going to have a game 3 weeks from now, you know, any high school. So it breaks down to, you know, would you rather train at Brownsburg High School or Purdue? Would you rather train at Hamilton High School in Ohio or Xavier, Ohio State University?
Right.
You know, and with this being a redshirt year, basically a free year for everybody, I think it's a no-brainer if your kid is ready mentally and academically. Now, we can't get them there and be behind the 8 ball because they're not ready mentally. Michi Johnson, for example,
right.
ready.
I think I saw him in the lab. I reposted it on our Instagram on Indy Heat's page about who he was in open gyms with already.
Yeah.
And then I think the hunger he has, like he was so pissed that he couldn't play in the EYBL, because if he was able to play in the EYBL, oh man, it would have been something serious to see.
He's a problem. You know, he's a problem. He was a joy to coach. He really was. So I challenged him one time about a couple of possessions where I thought he should have passed the ball up the court.
Correct.
You know, the open man, this, that, and the other. He said, Coach, it wasn't there. Trust me. We went back and forth, you know, in a respectful manner.
Right.
This was on a Thursday. The next day, I get to the gym and we're outside. You know, everybody's got to stand outside the gym before you go to your game. COVID rules. And he had already downloaded the film, clipped up all the possessions we were talking about, had it on his phone. And just was like, oh my.
You don't see that.
Like, Coach, this is what here's what I was thinking. So one thing leads to another. Hey, let's watch some film together then, Kip. Let's watch some film. I didn't know you was locked in like that. Let's watch some film together.
Right.
He's wired different. He's ready mentally. That's, you know, some cats aren't ready mentally. He thinks he's the best player when he walks on the court. He walks out there like he owns every joint.
Some people have that.
Yeah.
You have it too. The presence when you walk in. I think that's a perk to a human. Like if you could come in a room and demand that respect and the eyes look at you, when he steps on the floor, you know that's Michi Johnson.
He's different. And thank you for that compliment. But Michi Johnson's different, man. And he's going to, you know, guys like him, Christian Lander, they're going to be successful.
What's your thoughts? Like, did you think we was going to have an AAU season at least because of COVID?
I didn't. I really didn't. I was surprised we got in as much action as we did. I was really, really surprised. And that's a shout out to Todd Hensley and his team for doing what they did.
Right.
You know, setting up those COVID rules and the way they set up the gyms and just the organization all around. That was a shout out to Todd Hensley. He was on top of his game this summer.
He was on his A game. And I appreciate him for letting me like be behind the media and help give these kids the notoriety, because everything's digital now. Yeah. And I was like, hey, these are our expectations on my end. And this is what you can expect, that I will give you these guests and we will have this number of followers around this time. And with a half AAU season, we started at 2,000 followers on Instagram in June. Right now we're at 4,000. Yeah. But that's like little analytics that I'm like, Ty, you and your team don't have to worry about that. Let me take care of that, because that's what the kids are more attracted to. Let me get on our social media and see our highlights. And same for you, like you run in the Sneakers for Santa event. Last segment, you running for the Sneakers for Santa event. Talk about that event and what made you want to, you know, host this event coming December 5th.
Well, it's the objective of the event is to utilize our sport, basketball, to raise awareness for families in need. In 2018, collect over 100 pairs of sneakers. 2019, 300 pairs of sneakers for the Boys and Girls Club in Fort Wayne. So our goal this year, 2020, is to get 1,000 pairs of sneakers. And you know it is when you were little, you get some sneakers in Christmas, open up that box.
The holidays, right?
That hit different, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I remember getting those 11s, those black, red, and white 11s like a while ago. My mom just put in my bed. It was like Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So just imagine, Bill, to give somebody that joy, you know, to 1,000 people, to give 1,000 little kids that joy that you had. So that's our goal. We got a nice little lineup going on at Brownsburg High School. Shout out to Todd Hensley, Jared Balf is a major player in this, and the AD over there named Drew Tao. He's a talented young AD, really, really good.
I'm excited.
Hamilton out of Ohio.
Nice.
They got the big fella named Sato Tortolino that just moved here from Hawaii. Sato committed to go to Auburn about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
BP, I saw it online. I said, hold up now. He's going to Auburn and he's just moved to Ohio. I knew he was in like playing at that point. So BP gave me Bruce Pearl connected me with his people over there. I talked to his high school coach, Kevin Higgins, a great guy. Got connected with the AD, connected the AD over there, the Brownsburg AD. So they're coming over. We're excited to get a good look at him and see what he looks like.
I'm excited. So guys, make sure you guys tune in. Coach Owens, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, having an in-depth talk. I appreciate it. And hopefully we can get a part 2 soon.
My pleasure. You're the man. I appreciate you.
Man, thank you.